Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat. We are going to go over a little bit of just contact information this morning. First off, just as we did yesterday. So I'm going to put some of our contact information on the screen for those of you that need it. And then, of course, as always, if you need to ask us anything specific, please feel free to reach out to us. Any of our emails, you can also reach out to COPA support. So today we are going to be talking about finance first this morning, and we will also be talking about some parent portal tips, and Miracle Lee is going to go over that with you all. And then Michelle is also going to spend some time talking with you about some COPA tips and tricks. So we've got another full agenda. It will not be as long as yesterday, but thank you for those that joined us yesterday and are back today. We're really excited that you're here. So I am going to post another poll for today, probably here in about another 5 minutes, just to make sure everyone's able to get in first. So I'll let you know before that happens, and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so today in talking through the ABC financial requirements, we're going to talk about the COPA user agreements, and then we're going to talk about applications, the core quality components of ABC, budgets, the match funding component, and then we are also going to talk about allowable and unallowable cost, the required financial reporting, and the sliding fee scale. And then the final portion of finance today is we're going to talk about those fiscal reviews and what that looks like and what you can expect from our team if you are chosen for a fiscal review. And again, at if any time you have questions, just pop those in the chat. Our team will be answering questions. And then, of course, we'll answer some out loud for everyone to hear. Okay, so if you have not already submitted for a COPA user account, you will need to use the COPA security agreement and email it to our support mailbox to create an account. So we've got a copy of what that form looks like on the screen. We can get that on our website. You can also email us if you need to get a copy of that. It's a fillable form. If you notice at the bottom of that form where it says access requested, there are different types of COPA access. So if you are an administrator and you need admin rights, you'll select that. There's a teacher option if your teachers just need to be able to go in and do things like attendance, and enter developmental screenings, that type of thing. And then for your fiscal coordinator, or if you're a director and you also do the fiscal portion, you'll also need to select billing. So this is what is going to give you authorization and a username and account for our billing portal. Just make sure that, again, if you have not already done this, if you're a new program or you're a new coordinator, that you reach out, get a copy of this form on our website or from us directly and send that back to us so we can get you set up to complete your billing throughout the program year. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any yet. Nicole, if you need a billing, then what you would need to do is create a new form and mark billing and then resubmit that. Yes, if you do not have a billing account and you need one. And we do highly recommend that more than one person at your site have a billing login. If for any reason, as a director, if you're going to be out of the office, if you want to take a vacation every once in a while, or you get sick, if anything happens, we want you to be able to complete your monthly billing. So make sure that more than one person has billing access. So the difference in the roles, I'm going to go back just so that we can talk about those access roles. So if you are a coordinator, and you are not needing administrative roles, there's a coordinator option for that. If you are an administrator and you need access for everything, so you need to be able to enter children, you need to be able to edit classroom information, assign teachers, you would select the admin option. There's a view only option. So this would be for maybe you have someone that does quality assurance, or maybe you have a CPA or an auditor that would need access to go in and audit your program. They would not be able to make any adjustments. HRM is going to be for your human resources option. So if you are a coordinator and you're entering staff information, you would need that option. There's a manager role that is not frequently used. They have a little less privileges than admin. Most of you, as coordinators, directors, you're going to just need the admin option. And then for the teacher option, they'll be able to go in and enter attendance. They'll be able to edit some student information, put in health information, developmental screenings, edit some of the family information, but they may not have options to do certain enrollment. So that's where your admin access will come in. If you're not sure about your access, if you think that you should have an admin login, but maybe you only have billing and human resources, Miracle Lee has put the link to our forms in the chat box. You can reach out to us and ask us what kind of role you have if you need anything additional. And then you can always fill out that form, have your supervisor sign it, and send it back into us. And of course, for your supervisor's signature, that's going to need to be whoever is listed as the coordinator or director of your program. So make sure you get their signature before you fill that out and complete that. So, Nicole, if your teachers are going to be inputting your attendance for their classes, then yes, they would each need to have access. They can each have an account. Every program's set up a little bit differently. So if you feel like all of your teachers need access so that they can go and put in attendance, if you have one lead teacher that does everyone's attendance, you can do just the one. So that's kind of going to be a program decision on who all gets access, but there is no limit. And like I said, we do recommend that you have multiple users that can do attendance, multiple users that can do billing at your administrative level. Any other questions about the user agreement?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if I was supposed to come off from mute or just put in the chat. Okay, so I have access to COPA. This is new for me. This is my first year working with ABC, but I have access to it. And I was granted this previously, but I never really got into it because I'm the assistant director for our grantee, but I never just really utilized COPA. Is this something that needs to be renewed annually?
No.
Or once you have access, you have access?
Yes, that's correct. Once you have access to COPA, you'll have access. So the only caveat to that would be if you do not log in, I believe it's within 90 days, when you try to log in, it'll have you blocked. So if you haven't logged in 90 days, you can just reach out to our COPA support mailbox and we'll unblock that for you. But as a new coordinator, you'll need billing and human resources along with the admin that you already have. So go ahead and fill out this user change update form and select that you'll need the HRM and the billing and then send that to our COPA support mailbox.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If um, my CEO has access and our CFO has access for billing because they're the ones that usually handle that part, and our HR coordinator usually handles that end. Do I still need to complete this for both?
No, if you've got other people there with your organization that are completing those portions, then you won't need that unless if they need a backup or anything of that nature.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, great question.
Yes. On yesterday, you said we will have the Emerson Tower screaming. Do you know the lady could come out and do that?
If you will, just send me an email. I'm gonna put my email in the chat box. Just send me an email and I will send you the options for getting those screeners done.
Okay, I sent mine, Sandra Pearson. It's in your email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And I just saw a great question about the user agreement. So what's the protocol if we no longer want a staff member to have access? So you will use the same form at the top where it says type of action requested. Instead of new user, change or update, you can select block user. And so what we'll do is we'll go in the system and we'll revoke their access. So if you have a teacher leave, administrative leave, anything like that, you'll use this same form for any new users or changes, and then of course your block option. So yeah, great question. Thank you. Okay, so before we move on, I am
I'm
gonna go ahead
I'm sorry.
and
I do have one question. So it's kind of a loaded question. So I know you said that we would, if we want an employee to no longer have access, we would choose the option to block user. Is there a way to update to ensure that, because I think over time before I got into this position, there had been a number of different program director. So I think there's a lot of access out there to my site. So is there a way to update it to ensure that only, the people that are signed off on only have access to my site?
so if you'll send an email, I'm gonna have my team put in the chat box the COPA support email. If you'll send us an email, what we can do is take a look at the admin roles that are assigned to your program, and we can let you know, and that way you can make any adjustments if we need to. We can inactivate. So the great thing about COPA is, if you don't have that 90 days, if there's no activity with that login, it will block itself. But we can inactivate anybody that doesn't need to be there. Just send us an email to COPA support and we'll take a look at that list with you and then make sure that there's no one on there that doesn't need to be.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Sims, go ahead. I see your hand up, but if you don't have a question, no problem. Just feel free to put any questions in the chat if you have them. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about the application process for ABC. So, the ABC grant application and budget process is all through our COPA online portal. We will renew you, we'll notify you once the renewal is open. Most of you have already gone through this process, so we did that back in the spring. The application cannot be approved without a budget. All ABC grantees should include a budget which corresponds to our quality components, and we're going to talk about those. All agencies must also provide documentation of detailed program costs and demonstrate fiscal responsibility. Once you're approved for an ABC grant, the agency must operate the ABC program utilizing your approved budget. So failure to return the signed grant agreement does cancel your participation, which all of our programs have submitted their grant agreement. And then the agency will receive an approval notice once the grant has been completed. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to allow for any questions, and you should all be getting the poll on your screens any moment. You can go ahead and put in your name, program information, and your PDR number. And I am going to go ahead and see if we had any questions while we do that. I see my team has answered those, so perfect.
So they would have shut up the process.
Jennifer, the 26-27 applications, we are processing those right now. So if there is anything that we have a question about on your grant application, we will reach out to you. But as long as you've submitted your grant agreement, we'll work with you if there's any questions on those applications. Brandy, if the poll did not populate for you, no worries. We will do it again before we end. So you'll have another chance to fill it out, no problem. And if you filled the PDR registration out, you'll get credit through PDR as well. So we're just doing this as a measure to make sure that no one gets missed as participating. So no worries. We'll do it again before we end today. Nikki, for amendments for last year's budget, if you have something that's a big change, if you're having to move a large amount and need to make an amendment, send an email to Bridgetta Mitchell. Bridgetta, go ahead and put your email in there for Nikki and just send her an email with the information that you're needing to change on your budget and we'll take a look at it. And we are going to talk a little bit about amendments today as well. Okay. Christy, that's fine. You can put both of you on the poll. No problem. All right. I am going to go on to the next slide. If you're still filling out that poll, that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Bridgetta Mitchell. She's going to start talking with you about the core quality components. And then if you have any questions, once again, please put them in the chat. All right, Ms. Bridgetta, take it away.
Sorry, I was muted. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. So the core quality components of the budget are going to be the administrative costs, the well-qualified and compensated staff, nutrition, curriculum and equipment, meaningful parent engagement, parent involvement, transportation, accountability, professional development, screenings, and technology. So basically, you want to make sure that when completing your budget, that your budget contains these items. So not all programs use their budget for all items, but these are the actual things that the ABC budget can be utilized for. You can go ahead to the next slide. So when creating a budget, you want to make sure that 60% of your you budget your account for 60% coming from ABC and then 40% coming from your actual entity, whether it be cash or in kind. And so your match source must be defined in the budget. So whether it be cash or in kind, that has to be listed in your budget. Items generally correspond to the core quality guidelines and most providers must decide if ABC is financially feasible for their agency's business model. ABC should not be your sole source of funding for your agency. So that just means, you just want to make sure that at any time, if state funding is cut off and we're unable to provide ABC funding, you're able to still maintain your financial status at your agency. Justification and detailed description of should be listed on each line when you're creating your budget in COPA. So if you have any questions or concerns, as Ms. Kayla has stated, when creating your budget or just want to ask questions, you can always reach out to myself or the COPA support mailbox, and we'll be sure to assist you. So what is the match funding? So match funding, there's going to be two types of match funding. And as we talked about, it's going to be cash, which is going to be revenue or monetary value of goods and services provided by a program or collaborative partner on behalf of the ABC children. And the in-kind is going to be the value of goods and services provided by the program or collaborative partner on behalf of the ABC children. So some examples of in-kind can be donated equipment, office space, utilities, or labor that may be paid for if you're in a school district, the district itself, and you all are not actually paying for it with your ABC funding. So key match information, it's going to be match source indicators, indicates who is providing the match source, such as the school district, the agency, Title I, ESA, ARPA, CARES funding, etc. So that's basically when you are putting your match funding on your budget, you want to let us know where that funding is coming from. Do not designate cash as match funding. Use the name of each match source. So although the match amount of the match source may come from, it may be in cash form, you want to list the entity that cash is coming from. So when calculating your match funds, it's going to be 40% of your ABC grant amount, and this is how you will calculate it. To get that amount, you're going to multiply the amount of your grant. It's by 40%, and that'll give you, so there's actually in your financial guidelines, there's actually a different way to calculate it. And that's actually the way that the agency would like you to calculate it. So it would be the amount of your grant amount times 3 and then divided by 2. So we'll make sure to update this slide and get that information to you.
Yeah, and I think we have some examples too, I believe, in the guide that break down exactly how to create that formula. And it's also in that grant application in COPA. So the formula, it's got some examples, but it has the actual formula. So if you have any questions, let us know.
As far as the ABC reimbursement rate, it has not changed this year. It's still going to be the same as it has been previously. The agency budget is calculated by using the unit rate associated with the type of program and the number of slots awarded. So the unit rate is going to be based on full-time care, which is 7 hours a day per child. So for center-based, that's going to be $5,105 per child per year. And then for home visiting, that's going to be $1,894 per child per year.
Don't see any questions in the chat yet. Let me see here. Okay.
And again, some questions may come once we are done and we've gone through this, and that's okay. Just feel free to send me an email or send an email to the COPA support box, and we'll be sure to assist you. Administrative costs. So that's the one portion of your budget that can only be a certain percentage of your actual grant. So other than 12% or 15% administrative costs, all ABC costs go towards meeting core quality components. So the maximum administrative cost for LEAs, that's going to be school district, co-ops, and universities, is 12%. You can only use 12% of your actual ABC grant towards administrative costs. And then for those private programs, you're able to use 15% of your ABC grant towards your administrative costs. So when we talk about, because I get a lot of questions on what's allowed, what can I spend this on? So here are a few examples of what allowable costs may be. May have 100% ABC, 100% match, or a combination of ABC and match. And that can be your rent, insurance, and utilities, business-related taxes, postage, copies, copy machine, office supplies, background checks, maintenance or grounds, and then minor repairs to the facility. And those would all be considered administrative. So your unallowable cost is going to be construction and renovations. So only allowed for meeting the minimum licensing requirements and classroom quality. So that's the only time you'd be able to use ABC funding towards construction and renovations. You cannot use ABC funding towards indirect costs or costs that may be direct, must be direct as, I'm sorry, all costs must be direct as stated in the approved budget. Costs not prorated by a number of ABC children. So that's going to be, for example, if you have 20 ABC funded children and 20 CCDF funded children, both classes share the same building and have the same utility bills. You can, and since there's 50% CCDF and 50% ABC, you should only pay 50% of the actual utility bills with ABC funds. So, but if it's 100% ABC children, then you can pay 100% of the actual bill. So, prorating method must be defined on your budget line. So, make sure if you have any questions as it relates to defining those prorated amounts, please reach out.
We have a question. We talked about what we were supposed to use your funding. What other funding can we apply for? We have USDA, but ABC was a major part of our funding for many years. So there are some other options out there. There are some other federal grants that you can apply for various things in your program. As far as the USDA, of course, that's going to be a big part of your budget as well for food. And I would really recommend looking into, if you're not already, other partners in your community that could come in and provide services as part of your match, that can take care of some of those things that you might be expending right now. So if you're using ABC money to pay for someone to come and do maintenance at your facility, or maybe you have a lawn care company that you're using, sometimes just reaching out and asking if there's any way that they would do that for match for your in-kind, your volunteer time, if they would do that. Just partnering with different businesses, getting creative. Sometimes if you advertise, this company does lawn service for us, they may do that. So thinking about your community, utilizing your parents for in-kind, for volunteer time. If any of them own a business, they could come in and help you do things like painting, or coming in and helping you deep clean, anything like that, just to kind of take some cost maybe off of your facility, are just some ideas. So if anyone else has any other suggestions, feel free to put those in the chat as well. So Melissa, labor, if they're donating their time, then yes, that can be considered in kind for your match. If it's a service that you were going to have to pay someone to do for your ABC facility and they're donating their time, then yes, you can utilize that.
We just want to make sure that when we talk about in-kind and match, that we state that it is specifically for that ABC program or that ABC building. Yes. So CCDF is still around. It's CCDF pre-K that is no longer around. So there's still CCDF funding. We just no longer have CCDF pre-K.
Yeah, and so Lindsay, when you hear us talk about CCDF, that is kind of a broad term for federal funding. So there's a lot under that umbrella. So if you had federal pre-K in the past, that has ended. But if you have any questions about specific funding types in your program, if you have children that receive SRA funding or any other type of funding in ABC, feel free to send us an email. We can work with you to determine the different types of funding you receive and what you can and can't do with your ABC. Okay, we'll go ahead and we will talk about staff.
Yes, ma'am. And just so we can, I just want to clear the air that we no longer have the ABC ITSE program or the subsidy, which was the layered funding for ABC. So that is no longer. So well-qualified and compensated staff. So for your center-based, that staff is going to be considered your teachers, your paraprofessionals, your ABC coordinator, the administrative assistant, substitutes, drivers, extra staff as needed for field trips, nurse, counselor, principals. So those are going to be who you can pay or who can be budgeted on for your center-based staff. As far as for home visiting, that's going to be your home visitor, the coordinator, and the administrative assistant that can be listed under your well-qualified and compensated staff on your budget. Fringe benefits for staff. When we talk about fringe benefits for staff, the staff that fringe benefits apply to are going to be teachers, coordinators, paraprofessionals, home visitors, HIPPie PAT coordinators, substitutes only if employed by the agency. And then it may include things such as insurance, employer-based, employer-paid taxes, or retirement. Fringe benefits cannot include sick days, holidays, vacation days, training days, or pay for uniforms. Professional development. When we talk about professional development, an example of an average rate of $1,650 per staff person, that's usually around the amount that we're seeing when some professional development is being paid. You may use those funds for staff on approved staff qualification plans, the SQP, to cover tuition, books, travel, testing, including child development associate credential fees. Coursework obtained through online programs must meet United States Department of Education requirements for accreditation. And if the staff attends any of the Arkansas Department of Education sponsored early childhood training offered at no cost, the agency may count a maximum of 150 per day as match.
I did see a question as we were talking about fringe benefits. So Maggie said that their program, their fringe is combined and with the salary, and wanted to know if we had a form on figuring this out. We don't have a form, Maggie, to figure out the fringe. I would recommend reaching out to your finance department within your school district and work with them to break down the fringe, if it's a percentage or how it's calculated for each staff. They should be able to get that information to you because it's going to be different depending on whether, if you're at a district or if you have a private program. All of those percentages or totals would be different for your staff.
We will have the team correct those 5 or 6.
Okay.
So, Ms. Turner, those professional development trainings, they were talked about on yesterday. And that training was recorded. And so you will be able to, once we complete all trainings, it'll be uploaded to the DESE website and you'll be able to view that there.
I did pose that question yesterday, but I didn't get an answer.
Okay. Well, if you would send an email to the COPA support box, and then we can make sure we get back with you on that question. Okay, Ms. Jennifer Thomas, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so on the PD portion that you just went over, that last section, if we have staff that takes training through the registry and it's free, you're saying that if it's over a course of several days, just like for instance, work sampling is coming up, it's free, but they have to travel for that. We can count up to $150 per day that goes toward in-kind.
As long as it's an Arkansas Department of Education sponsored early childhood training. You just have to make sure that it fits within those guidelines.
Okay, so work sampling,
that should
class, things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So does the ABC have guidance? So I see in our district, fringe is not a part. I'm sorry. In our district, fringe is not a part of our contract. It's extra. So it just needs to be detailed on your budget when submitting it. Does the ABC have guidance or examples showing how private nonprofit organizations should budget shared administrative personnel and costs without using their federally negotiated indirect costs rate? I'm not familiar with that. You should probably reach out to your financial individual about that. That would be something outside of our purview. Could you send us other grantee out there for applying for fund? So as far as applying for additional funding, you would want to reach out to your community partners to see if there's anyone that you could partner with. We don't have any additional grants here at the Department of Education that we will be able to send out to you, but reaching out to your community partners, and even maybe reaching out to your additional programs in your area to see maybe who they use, or who if they have any additional questions or comments. All right, so let's go on to child screenings. So $50 per child may be used as match for developmental screenings. That's going to include materials for screening completed by the program. The cost of therapy or specialized instruction may be counted as match at $550 per child per year. A child's personal insurance should cover cost of health screening. However, agencies may use $50 per child as match for health. If a child has no insurance, ABC funds may be used to pay for the health screening. And then you may only count cost of screenings conducted on ABC children. So if you have a mixed classroom and you're screening all children, you should only charge ABC for those ABC children that are being screened. So for your nutritions, you may count 100% of reimbursement from NSLP or USDA for ABC children as match. Documentation is required, and ABC attendance in COPA will suffice for this documentation. You may use ABC funds to cover cost of snack or participate in child and adult care food program, snack program, and count as match. Programs may use ABC funds to cover children not eligible for free and reduced meals. Programs may count 100% of the nutrition reimbursement received on behalf of ABC children from Enhanced Student Achievement and or Child and Adult Care Food Program administered by DESE as match. The agency will need to contact the Health and Nutrition Unit for the correct reimbursement amount. And again, that can only be counted for those ABC children.
I'm going to go back one slide to child screenings because I did see a question. So Tanya had a question about hearing and vision screening. So this does also include any of those hearing and vision screenings. One example that I can tell you is if you have like a Lions Club in your area, sometimes they can come in and do vision screenings for you. So yes, you can count those towards your match for screenings.
The transportation, if the agency transports ABC children, allowable prorated transportation costs may include vehicle lease or rental, insurance, fuel, and maintenance. And please note that that says prorated transportation, because if you are transporting more than just your ABC children, that amount needs to be prorated across the board. So depending on what your percentage of ABC children is, that's the percentage of the cost that should be paid with ABC funds.
Okay, I was just looking to see if there's any other questions before we move on. I know sometimes we get a lot of questions about transportation. I don't see anything just yet.
Well, I don't know. Maybe people, I mean, I know.
Okay, we'll move on.
I got
Technology. So when it comes to technology, these are the following items can be purchased for your ABC classroom. And that's going to be a video camera, digital camera, scanner, smartboard, tablets, cost of toner and ink, and internet service. So again, if your facility is not primarily ABC, those and it's not primarily for the ABC classroom, you're going to want to make sure to prorate those costs, such as the toner and ink and internet. So let's talk about meaningful parent engagement, because I know received a lot of questions as it relates to what can be purchased in this area. So an example budget will be an average of $100 per child for center-based programs or $50 per child for home visiting. These could cover things such as parent backpack program, field trip fees, holiday functions, speakers or meetings, interpreters, translators, T-shirts for the staff in the child learning activities, and then the parent workers must use match for this. So if you have parents that work for your home visiting or for your program, if you want to provide compensation to the parent workers, you want to use your match funding for this. And then things that it does not include is going to be parent time at home, parent mileage to the meetings, and the door prizes that you may give away at these meetings. And if you have any additional questions as it pertains to meaningful parent engagement or things that you may use this money for, you're more than welcome to reach out to us, and we'll be sure to answer those questions. So for curriculum and equipment, programs may utilize ABC funds to purchase and maintain curriculum. An example of the average rate would be $275 per child per center for centers and $187 for home visiting programs. That's going to include comprehensive curriculum that is approved by us here at OEC, supplementary curriculum that's approved by us as well, and then curriculum training and coaches. Approved curriculum list can be found on the actual ABC website. And at this time, I do not believe any changes have been made or that list has not been updated. But equipment examples could include learning equipment for centers, outdoor play equipment, classroom consumable supplies, tables, chairs, cots, and mats. So those are all things that can be listed on your budget for curriculum and equipment. So now we're going to talk about the required financial reporting that's required of you all during the school year, and also for any programs that are currently involved in our summer programming. So every program is going to submit a mid-year and a final expenditure report, and those are going to be due on January 30th and July 30th. All documentation must be kept on file at the program and ordinance for retention regulations, and the required report templates can be found on the ABC website. For those programs that are currently serving children this summer, please do not forget that your summer expenditure report is due 15 days after the end of your program. Also, going back to the mid-year and final year, when you submit your mid-year on January 30th, what we're looking for is that you have expended at least 40 to 50% of your actual budget. We did run into a lot of programs that used a lot of their ABC budget for, why am I drawing a blank? To pay staff. So, and we understand that when you use it to pay staff, that it may not you may not see that 40 or 50% being spent in January. And we understand that. A lot of times what me and my staff would do is we would reach out to you and say, hey, we see that we've received your mid-year, but we see you've only expended this amount. Are you sure you're on track to expend the entire amount by the end of the school year? And as long as we received documentation, or we spoke to someone and they did say that yes, we will be able to expend it, we move forward. So on July 30th, you want to make sure that when you submit that expenditure report, that it shows that you are zero balance. You cannot carry over any additional funds for any ABC funding to the next school year. So any money not spent will need to be returned. So go ahead, Ms. Kayla.
I was just going to pause because there may be some questions about this. When you are working on your final expenditure, you should be at a zero balance, as Bridgetta just alluded to. And so that is really important. And one of those things is just make sure that as you are looking at your expenditure report, that you are calculating that as well, based on your actual amount that you were awarded throughout the year. So if for any reason throughout the year your enrollment drops and you receive less funding, you'll want to readjust your expenditure report based on the funding that you're receiving from our office. We understand that if your initial award is $100,000 and you do not have full enrollment, and so you're not getting paid the full amount that you're expected, you're receiving less. So adjust your expenditure report to exactly what you are receiving from OEC. That's what we will be comparing it to. Just so you're aware, I know we've gotten a lot of questions about this. So just so that you're aware, and if you have questions, reach out to us. We can help with that. We can look at your expenditure and we'll work with you. We can look exactly what's been paid out so we know, that your expenditure matches or it does not. We also will typically send an email with that expenditure report template. It's an Excel file. We try to send an email reminder before those are due with a copy of that. But as Bridgetta said, those documents are on our website. You don't have to wait on us. You don't have to wait on that template. You can just go on our website and download it and use it from there. And I wanted to just see if we had any questions. Let's see. Michelle, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Excuse me. And you just spoke about the final expenditure report, and we were one of the programs who did not receive. I think our enrollment got low, so we only received, based on our enrollment, not the full award. So on the final expenditure report, do we change the columns? If this is making sense, like you said, that only report on what you received, but
Yes.
that changed, you know what I'm saying? So we don't when we did the mid-year, we did the budgeted amount that we were awarded.
Yes. So on your final, if you had an adjustment between your mid-year and your final, yes, you'll change your award amount in that column to reflect exactly the amount that you received.
Okay.
Yes. And if you start working on your final expenditure report, if it gets close and you have questions, just, feel free to reach out and we can take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Rebecca, so the budget amendment form, it is past due for amendment forms. If you have something specific that you are changing over, like it's more than 10%, or it's from one category to another, so you were going to expend in salaries and now you're spending, a large amount on curriculum. We can work with you on that. So Rebecca, just send me or Bridgetta an email and we'll work with you on that and see what we need to get changed for your final expenditure or your budget. Okay, and I know Bridgetta already said it, but just another reminder. If you are a summer ABC program, please don't forget that you will have to do a summer expenditure report that is due 15 days after the date of the end of your program. So this is something new for our summer programs. We are going to send out an email reminder. We're going to send you the form, so don't worry, you'll get something from us as well. But just want to remind everyone, if you're a summer program only, so this is only for our ABC summer participants, this is something new. So we just want to remind everybody about that expenditure. It is the exact same document that you will utilize throughout the normal program year. So it will not be anything new. You'll know exactly what it looks like and you've done it before, but that's just a friendly reminder.
And also, with each expenditure report that you do turn in, make sure that you have that certification form with each one. And your expenditure reports should always be in Excel, and your certification should be in PPF. So also another financial reporting that is required if your program receives at least $750,000 in federal awards in a physical year, is going to be your final disclosure audit. The prorated cost of the annual final disclosure audit can be paid with ABC funds, and the auditor or financial statement preparer must attest to the fact that the submitted audit statements accurately reflect all expenditures towards the ABC program.
And I think that probably just to make sure everyone understands, if you are a school district, co-op, university, you are submitting it's a legislative financial audit. So we pull those from the online system. You don't need to submit that separately. So if you are a private program, you would have to reach out and have an auditor do that. But if you are a co-op, school district, university, those are already being submitted to the state anyway, so you don't need to do a separate action for those entities.
So as far as your budget amendments, budget amendments are only required when more than $1,000 or 10% is moved from one category to another prior to the occurrence. So the final date to apply for a budget amendment is going to be June 15th of the program year, and the budget forms can be found at the ABC website. Let's talk about you all getting paid. So programs are allocated a maximum amount of funding based on the expectation of 100% of enrollment on the awarded slots. So programs are paid monthly based on enrollment. So your first couple of payments in July and August, they're going to be based off that 10%. But I can't tell you all when the pay by enrollment will start, but I just want to make sure that everyone knows that it is an expectation that your enrollment is at 100%. All child enrollment, attendance, and visit information will be obtained from COPA. So please, please, please make sure when you are submitting your billing that you double check to make sure that that the children that you are billing for are indeed the children that you are supposed to be billing for, and they have the correct program model, and they are in the correct they are listed correctly in COPA. Programs must enter data in COPA to be paid. So if the child is not in COPA, we cannot pay you for that child. Failure to bill through COPA by close of business on the 5th of the month could result in delayed payments. So I have been told that I have held hands, and I have been told that is not okay. So it is an expectation that everyone bills by the 5th of each month, or you all may not receive payment. On the 5th of each month, October through April, attendance will be pulled from COPA, and you all will be paid as follows: $510 per child per month for center base. Please refer to your grant agreement for details. If a child is on the sliding fee scale, you will not receive that entire $510 from us. You will receive additional compensation from the parent. For our home visiting, it's going to be $189.40 per child per month. And that's going to, please refer to your grant agreement for details. Just a little extra is for each ABC provider must establish and maintain a separate bank account for the deposit, transfer, and withdrawal of all ABC funds, or establish a specific identifier to distinguish your ABC funds. No other funds of the ABC provider shall be commingled with the ABC funds. Please contact us for required documents to set up a direct deposit. That's if that is needed. Any questions about this? Because I want to make sure that we know that this is, you don't just get the whole amount just because you're open. If you are not at 100%, you will not receive your full award.
I don't see any questions yet.
They may come.
They may come, but I don't see any questions yet, which this is no change from last year. So if you're with us last year, you know that paying based on enrollment is not new for this next coming up program year. But if you're a new coordinator, just be aware that you do need to maintain enrollment. So if you have something that happens with a child, there is an emergency. If a child is going to be out an extended period of time due to surgery, um, reach out and let us know. Let us know what's going on. Keep us informed so that we know if you don't have full enrollment for that month, that it's because maybe a child is out due to a circumstance where they are not able to come to school. Maybe they have surgery or something along those lines.
Holly, we do not submit payments. You only get 10 payments for the entire year. So you'll get a payment in July, and then your last payment will be received in April. So anything after that, that's just how the grant is. It's split up in 10 payments. And Tracy, please, we'll answer that. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, next slide.
All right. If it'll go here.
Sliding fee scale. So after recruiting and filling slots with eligible families, programs with open slots may recruit families whose income is 200 to 250% below federal poverty level. These families will pay a portion of the ABC fee according to the sliding fee scale chart. The parent portion of the sliding fee scale will be deducted from the agency's monthly payments. So that's what I was talking about on that last slide, where I said you will not receive the full $510.50. You'll receive depending on where the family is on the sliding fee, you'd receive a portion of the funding from us, and then the other portion you'd be collecting from the family. The sliding fee scale can be found on the federal poverty level guide updated on the OEC website. And it does let you know exactly how much is being deducted from your payment. So you know how much you would get from OEC and how much you would be expected to get from that family. All right, let's talk about physical reviews. So the physical reviews is what our my team does as a part to review your finances. And what we're doing is we're basically just looking at what you've already presented to us, because you've already given us your mid-year, you've already given us your final, and we're just looking at that to ensure that you have actually spent the money as you have stated you spent the money. So all ABC programs chosen for a physical review will be notified, and then the documentation will be requested. We may ask you to upload it in COPA, and we may ask you to email it directly to us. Me and my team, we like to have you all upload it in COPA. That way we always have something to refer to. But we will also make sure that we send that information out to you, letting you know that we have opened up an area in COPA and for the physical review information to be uploaded into. Financial documentation must be kept on file at the program and be produced within 24 hours when requested by the ABC office. We did run into a lot of bumps this year. And so just going forward, we just want you all to know that these are documents you already have. So we're just needing these to be sent to us as soon as possible so that we can go ahead and complete those physical reviews and make sure we are good to go. Any expenditure not documented, will be deemed as an unallowable expense, and you all may be made to pay that money back. So just be very, very cognitive of the things that you spend the money on. We give you all areas that you can spend money in, and if you ever are asking or thinking, can I spend my ABC money on this? Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That way we don't run into this where you're having to pay us money back. Lapses in documentation will result in corrective action. Once required documentation is received, sample transactions will be selected for review. So we don't look at every single transaction that we receive, but we look at majority of them just to ensure that the money is actually being spent how it should be. Once the review is completed, notification will be sent to the agency to discuss the findings and the corrective action. And then if there are no findings, you'll also receive documentation letting you know that there were no findings as well. So for general questions regarding ABC, or if you're needing any assistance with COPA, please email us at copasupport.mailaccount@ade.arkansas.gov. This recorded training as well as any forms and resources can be found on our ABC website.
And we are going to take a 10-minute break. And then when we
I
come
have a
back,
question before we go, Kayla.
yes, go ahead.
As a school district, all financial documents are kept at central office. Should copies be made so we have them on site? I think you should be able to just request those documents from central office. So I don't believe you should have to have those copies on site.
Yeah, if you have a central office that keeps your documents, I would recommend just making sure that they're aware. So as soon as we notify you that we'll be doing a fiscal monitoring of your program, keep those people at your administrative office aware so that whatever documents we're requesting, they're already in the loop and they know we're going to have a deadline in that email, that notification. So you'll know when you need to submit those documents and they can start collecting for you. But we are going to take a 10-minute break. So when we come back, Miracle Lee is going to go over the parent portal in COPA with everyone. So we're going to walk you through what that looks like. If you have not used the parent portal, that is the online application system within COPA itself. So Miracle's going to be going through that process and showing you how to use that next. And then after that, we will be talking about some tips and tricks in COPA, some reports with Michelle. So we'll come back at, let's see, it's 10:03. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at, let's say, 10:15. We'll just give a couple of extra minutes. So we'll come back at 10:15 and we will see you then. Okay, it is 10:15. So we are going to go ahead and get started with the next portion of our training today, which is going to be the parent portal. So Miss Miracle Lee is going to be sharing her screen. She's going to go through that training with you. And before we get started, I'm going to launch another one of our polls. And of course, if you've already filled this out, you do not need to fill it out again. However, if you missed the first one from the morning, you can go ahead and fill that out. And I will go ahead and launch it, and you can begin filling that out as we get started back. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Miracle Lee to talk to you about the parent portal in COPA.
All righty. Thank you, Miss Bodie. My name is Miracle Lee. I'm one of the ABC specialists within the team, and I'm going to be presenting the parent portal. Now, before we get started, I do want to say that the parent portal is not required for you to use. If you already have a system in place when entering children and family in COPA and you have no issues with your current system, you are more than welcome to continue using the system you have. The parent portal is completely optional. It's a feature that we offer through COPA to make it easier to enter those children and family in COPA. So let's get started. So the agenda regarding the parent portal, we're just going to go over the family portion, and I'm going to just walk through the process of what the families will have to do to submit their application to your agency for processing. And then the second bullet point, we're going to be reviewing that application after the family has submitted. So you will be able to review and convert that application for the families to be entered in COPA. And then we're going to go over some certain scenarios, like if the families are already in COPA or they have submitted multiple applications, how you will process those. So to begin with the family portion, we're going to walk through how they're going to register or log into the COPA portal, well, the family parent portal, and we're going to walk through how they will complete their family profile and adding children or any additional family members and to submit that application to your agency for processing. So once they access the parent portal, it will look similar to the image we have on the screen. They will have to either log in or register. I do want to point out that if they have already registered and they have forgotten their username or password, they will need to follow the forgot password or forgot username prompts. And forwarding those families to the COPA support mailbox will not assist with resetting their username or password as we currently don't have authorization to do so. And I can see the confusion when teachers and directors, they may have COPA Access account issues. We always state that you can just email the COPA support box to get assistance. Well, in regards of families that having issues with their parent portal account, we currently don't have the authorization to assist with resetting usernames or passwords. So we always state that they have to follow the two prompts listed below the login button when they're on the family portal website. Okay, so if they register, they will have a consent page that they will need to check and submit before proceeding with that registration process. So it will look similar to this. We have updated it, but it will look similar to this. It's just asking for consent so they can forward to the registration process to submit their application. Once they submit their consent form, they will proceed to create an account that will ask for their first, last name, their date of birth, phone number, email, ask for them to create their user ID and password. And the important part is their security questions, because that is what they will need to reset their username or password. So once they have become registered, or if they already registered and once they're logged in, they will see the website turn into this. It will welcome them. It will list 3 bullet points for them to do, such as create their family profile, add any children or new family member, and to finalize and submit their application. Once they update their family profile by selecting the button below, they will be required to enter general information regarding the primary caregiver. This is the same information that will be listed in COPA. Once you process that application, it will transfer over into the family data sheet. Some of the fields will be marked as required, which is what they would need to enter before they continue to the next page. Some information not as required, such as secondary language, education level, and employment status. But if they have to come back to the family recruitment list, they can always save and continue to the next page. They won't be forced to complete the entire application in one sitting. So once they provide the general information regarding the primary caregiver, they will have to provide contact information to proceed to the next tab, which will be that secondary caregiver info if the family have a secondary caregiver. And as always, as you will notice as we go along the slides, you will see that they will always have the option to save and continue later or save to proceed to the next tab. So moving on to the secondary caregiver general info, if the family do not have a secondary caregiver, they can check this check mark up here, and it will show on their application that they do not have a secondary caregiver. If so, they will have to provide their information below, which will be the names, date of birth, gender, and employment status. As you notice, they not all required, but we do advise that if they have a secondary caregiver, they can provide that information below. Moving on to the family income section where the families would enter their gross income, receive or earn. Below you will see that they can enter their wages, child support, unemployment, any Medicaid or health plans, DHS employment related daycare expenses, all such, and they can enter yearly, monthly, or weekly. And once they finish that portion, they will be directed back to this web page here, where they can enter children profiles or they can enter additional family members. So moving forward to adding new children to their application, once they select that button, they will be moved forward for the child applicant information, where they will start entering information regarding the children they are wishing to enroll to your agency. They have the option to select the enrollment year. The two options would be current year or the next school year. They will enter the children name, their gender, their date of birth, primary language, ethnicity, if they have any disability status, and this is where they will be able to enter the site that they wish their children to enroll to. And regarding their filter, they can choose either to filter their options by agency, by their home zip code, or by the site or school name. And while we are speaking about the selection of sites, if your agency had recently added a site for the current school year or next school year for the 2026-2027 school year, I do advise that you reach out to the COPA support mail account email to ensure that your site is selected to appear on the parent portal if you are using the parent portal for this school year, to ensure that your site do populate when the families are selecting their sites to be enrolled to. So once they have entered all their children information and they have finished the primary and secondary caregiver information, and they have entered any additional family members they want to have included in their account, not their account, their application, they can go to finalize and submit application, which will be right next to the update family profiles listed here on the image. I do want to make sure that everybody is aware that once the family has finalized their application and submitted it to their agency of choice, they will not be able to go back and edit the application. So if the family mistakenly submitted their application to the wrong agency, or they have missed a child when they submitted their application for review, they will not be able to go back to edit that application. It will need to be processed by the agency, or in the event that they selected the wrong agency, they will need to reach out to the agency they wish to apply to, and that agency will need to reach out to the COPA support mail account email for us to go in and allow access to that application. However, they still are able to view notifications, any resources, or access reports, and they can't upload documentation. They just won't be able to edit the application once they have selected the finalize and submit application. And before they submit, the system will ask to ensure that the family are aware that they won't be able to edit the application once submitted. They will also receive a confirmation page once they submit their application, stating the following message that they will need to upload the following required documents after completing their online application. And it will list that they will need to provide their birth certificate, vaccination records, their EPSDT, their copy of their Medicaid or insurance card, proof of income. So that is all we require the families to do to submit their application. That was the entire process. Now we are moving forward to what you guys would do as providers to review and process those applications within COPA, which is just reviewing the submitted applications and converting them so the families will be actually entered in COPA. So to access the family recruitment list to see those applications, you will need to log into your admin COPA or your main teacher access for your COPA. You will need to log into HR billing. So just your main COPA access, and you will need to go to the enrollment tab, and you will see it listed as family recruitment list. Once you select that, COPA will forward you to the family recruitment list. And when reviewing the list, I recommend that both checkboxes listed here that say display duplicate flag and display all families be checked when you're filtering through your application. This will ensure that all applications that are made accessible to you are displayed. And when reviewing the applications, you have multiple things to view. You can enter notes for children and family, your case notes. You can view their income. You can see if there are any missing information that the family may not enter when they were submitting their application. You can view any documents that has been uploaded by the family, any assessments. You can look at the child checklist, and you can email the family directly. And to do so, there are 2 more columns listed beside each family application you view. The first column will pertains to the family portion of the application. And the second more column listed at the end here would be pertains to the child. And when you begin to convert the application, you will need to ensure that all missing information is entered. Otherwise, COPA will prevent you from converting that application. So once all the necessary details are entered and you viewed everything and ensure everything is correct, you can move forward to converting the application. To do so, you will need to ensure that you check the checkbox beside the family name, and you will click this button here, Convert Recruitment Forms to Regular Application. Doing that will convert that application into a family data sheet to allow you to enroll that family within COPA. And in the event that you need to delete a family application, you will also need to check the checkbox and you will need to select delete. And that will remove it from your family recruitment list if you're not going to process this family application. And additionally, just so there's not any confusion, when you select the family name to view their application, it will look very similar to the family data sheet and the child data sheet. And to differentiate between the two, on the family recruitment list, the family data sheet will always say recruitment form, bolded in red. And on here, you can view all the information the family has entered, as well as enter any additional information that they are missing on their application. I do want to say that if you're going to use the parent portal, I do want to say if you are going to use the parent portal, I do recommend to have a system in place because as of now, COPA do not notify you when a family has applied for your agency through the parent portal. So you may want to have an email families can send an email to, such as listing that they apply and providing their application ID, or that they apply and showing that their confirmation page has been received, just so you can keep a track on families that are wanting to be enrolled to your agencies and that you can keep track on all the application that has been submitted. So once you have converted the application, COPA will send you a message saying selected family and children has been converted and that no errors has been detected. If there has been errors detected, such as missing required information, it will be listed on this page here, letting you know that the family have missing information or there have been duplicate families or children found in COPA. And moving to the next slide. If a family has applied and you're unable to view or access their application, you will need to contact COPA support. Is there a way? Well, currently, how the parent portal works is you will have to register to create an account, but from the COPA database, you are not able to currently view where the parents are currently in the process of submitting their application. I do advise that you can use the training we had on our website to walk families through submitting their application if they are having trouble submitting an application for your agency.
We'll just say, Melissa, also, if you'll send an email to COPA support, our COPA support mailbox, I'll put it here in the chat again. But if you'll send us an email, we have a copy of what the application looks like in Word document that we can send to you that will help you as well.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So moving forward, regarding the existing families and duplicate applications, you may run through a couple of these for families that have been previously in the ABC program in prior years. Families that have already been entered in COPA may submit an application through the parent portal, and COPA will flag those applications as duplicates. In the event of those, you will need to email the COPA support mailbox for us to merge those applications for you and allow you to be able to convert those applications. And you can see when COPA has flagged that family as a duplicate by ensuring that you display the duplicate flag. You check that checkbox and it will show right here, it will show a red D in parentheses, letting you know that this family is a duplicate and it has already been listed in COPA. And if you do try to merge the application, COPA will let you know that you will have to reach out to COPA support for additional assistance as it has been restricted for individuals who only have super admin access for COPA. But I do advise if you do have any issues with the parent portal, such as accessing family applications or reviewing applications, to please provide the primary caregiver first and last name and the child's first and last name. And if you have the application ID for that family, please provide that as well when you email these issues to the COPA support mail account to ensure that we are reviewing the correct application and that you get assistance in a timely manner. So do anyone have any questions regarding the parent portal? And as a reminder, you are not required to use a parent portal. If you have a system that is working fabulous for you, you do not have to implement the parent portal. It's just an optional feature we offer to assist with entering families in COPA.
I don't see any other questions yet, but I know it's in the chat and it's on the screen. If you have questions, please reach out. If you're curious about the parent portal, I also did put in the link. We have the slides that Miracle just went through and the training recorded already on our website. You can go and view that if you want to just walk back through and see if it makes sense for your agency. And as always, you can email us if you have questions about how it works or if you need to look into any application. And I know someone was asking about the family application. When we send out our follow-up email with our Q&A and all of the other resources that we've discussed, we will send a copy of that out as well so you can see what the family is seeing when they're submitting those applications. Okay. So up next, Michelle Davis is going to go through COPA tips with you, and she is going to talk to you about some of the reports and other things in COPA that will be helpful for you throughout the program year. So we are going to turn it over to Michelle and let her go through that next part of the training. And then again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll take questions as we go. But I am going to turn it back over to Michelle.
Thank you, Kayla. Okay, so I'm going to be discussing COPA with you today. But first, I wanted to start out with the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education website. So if you go to the DESE website and click on Offices, the Office of Early Childhood is under Early Childhood. And this is where you'll find the Arkansas Better Chance website. You can also, we talked about local leads. You can find out information about your local leads. You can download the list of all of the local leads. There's the school readiness, licensing, background checks, content and development. And they have links to Better Beginnings, Class, Rise, and curriculum information. There's also the Behavior Help guideline where you can click on the link here and it'll take you to the Behavior Help website. So let's go to Arkansas Better Chance. We have some training videos and resources available. Excuse me. You can join us the third Tuesday of every month from 12 to 1 for our ABC office hours, where we give updates with ABC grant and other pertinent information. And the link is here. And they include the passcode. I know a lot of you guys had problems signing in with ours, so it does include a passcode if one is required. All of the previous recordings are listed. And last year's coordinator training is also available. Yes, let's go. So the ABC program forms and documents, we have the ABC rules over here. This is where you're going to find your child waiver request, the center-based monitoring tool and the home-based monitoring tool, the financial guidelines, the no income verification form. We also have financial documents and staff documents, and that includes the professional development plan that we talked about yesterday. Okay. And then our COPA and curriculum and screening tools. This is a link that will take you directly to COPA support. Excuse me, not COPA support. I am so sorry, the COPA website. The comprehensive curriculum link is not working right now. And then here are the approved screening tools. Again, this is being looked at, but right now these are the screening tools that can be used. Okay. And then let's go back to the ABC forms. So I do want to show you a couple. So the ABC required fields, this is actually our COPA required fields. And if you click on that, this is the information that needs to be added into COPA. For the parents, if there's a secondary caregiver, caregiver income information, when you're enrolling the child, I think we do need to add that because we do have that new custom eligibility where if a child is being enrolled in a qualifying factor other than income, we need you to mark that. And then for the growth assessment, vision and hearing, the information needed for physicals, the child development screenings, referrals, disability information, and then your staff information. So again, that is on our website under ABC required fields.
And I will just add, this is a really important document, especially for those of you who are new coordinators. This document is going to walk you through exactly what you need to enter into COPA. It's going to tell you, like she said, for caregivers, child, family, staff, everything that you need to enter. When you go into COPA, there are so many additional fields that you do not need to complete. So we want to save you time. We don't want you to enter any unnecessary information. If you want to fill out additional information, that is no problem. But looking at this guide will help you navigate what is actually required and what may be marked as required in COPA. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're a new coordinator. Print this out or keep it on your computer where you can access it quickly and pull it up as you're entering that information so that you're saving yourself a little bit of time. So anytime we update these forms and documents, they'll be updated as quickly as possible, put back on the website. So I recommend to bookmark the forms and documents page on your web browser. Go there anytime you need forms, and that'll be the best place to access those.
And also, let me just tell you that sometimes COPA has updates and they will change required fields, but it does have a pop-up that will come up and it will let you know that you've missed a field. And so you can go back and you can enter that. So you do have to fill out the required fields before it lets you go on when you're entering applications and such. Okay. Oh, I also wanted to share. So there's the COPA security agreement. Where did it go? Child enrollment checklist. So this is for your benefit. We do not need a copy of this. This does not need to be uploaded into COPA. This is for you to keep in the child's files if you wish. You do not have to use this, but it may help you keep up with the documents that you have, and what has been entered into COPA, because down here you have the staff verifying eligibility, and then you have the staff entering the COPA data. I know that sometimes you'll enroll a child and they don't have their physical, and mom's like, they've got an appointment next week. Well, mom forgets it, you guys forget it, we ask for it, and it's like, we never got it. So this will help you keep up with the information that is needed for ABC children. Okay, so I'm going to take you to COPA. I'm going to be using the training website. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the dashboard. So up here you have all of your tabs that take you to your grant, eDocs. Some of you may have monitoring access. If you're an admin, you should have monitoring access. And this is where you can access the site visit, the monitoring site visit. The family tab, and this is where you would search for your families. The child tab, again, searching for families. The child group process, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. And the health portal, which we'll also be discussing. Your enrollment tab, this is where you can look at your recruitment, your family recruitments for that parent portal, child application, the waiting list, eligible list, terminated list, the no-no list, the pre-rollover list. Please do not ever use pre-rollover. And then for home visiting, you have the assign advocate. So where you can assign a family advocate or a child advocate. The agency tab. Depending on access, especially for teachers may only have access to class. So their tab will say class. Some managers just have site and class. And then admin should have access to the agency, site, and class. So what you use this tab for, click on the little arrow to access your sites. And this is where you can put in attendance. And this is a different access to the health portal. Okay. The way attendance is added. So if you click on the classroom name, it gives you the children that are enrolled. Up here you have daily attendance and weekly attendance. We recommend that you use weekly attendance. So you would select the dates for that week. Then click on the little pencil. And then this is where you mark whether they're absent or they're attending. So if they're attending, you can just do the little check mark up here for all. If they're absent, you just leave it blank. We also have a status down here. And this is where you can mark either a non-scheduled day, non-class day, or holiday. A non-scheduled day, non-class day, we really don't differentiate between the two of those. So if you have a teacher PD day, those can be marked as a non-class day or a non-scheduled day. Okay, so let's go back to our dashboard. And then the next one is the reports tab. So here is where you can run your individual reports. I do have a shortcut that we're going to be discussing where you can save your favorites. But this is where you can look at your list, your eligibility list, download reports, developmental screenings, your demographics, excuse me, staff and employees, enrollment reports, family reports, and different other reports. There are several. Smart reports, you can play around with that and see what you can do. They do take filtering. So you can do a child and family smart report. And then here you just have to click your fields. And then you can view, download, memorize, or download and memorize a report. The next thing I want to talk about on your dashboard is the support button. This does not take you to COPA support. This is Kinder Systems support. Please do not use this button. This is a system-wide. If there is a system-wide problem, that's what we use this for. So if you need any support, if you're having problems with something, please email COPA support. If we can't figure out what's going on, then we will contact Kinder Systems COPA support and let them know that, hey, you know, Mary Ann is having problems with her account. Can you please look at that and make sure that it's running right, so they can verify that it's not on their side and that it maybe have something to do with your technical support. COPA also has their own tutorials. They are created by Kinder Systems, and they do not relate specifically to ABC. So you can, if you would wish, if you like, you can take some of their trainings through their tutorials. However, some people find them confusing because COPA is geared towards Head Start. And so they give a lot of information that concerns Head Start. And again, not specific to ABC. And then there's the admin tab. So if you are an admin, you will have your admin tab. And this will take you to your agency. You can edit your agency. We do not advise that you do that. It could throw off if you mess with the locally designed models, the program models. If you mess with certain things, it may interrupt your billing. So we recommend that if you have a change that you contact us, but that is an option. If you scroll down, you can search and you can archive, search archive families and children. There is a group termination process. To tell you the truth, I didn't even know about this until last year. I don't think that that's anything that is used frequently. Down here, you have your pre-rollover. Again, never pre-enroll children coming back the next year. It will put them on a list that you cannot access. And so you'll have to contact us and say, hey, I've got these children, I can see them, I can't move them. So when you're doing your rollover for next year, just assign them back to either the waiting list or the archive list. This is also where you can prepare your families for next year during pre-rollover. Over here in the post-rollover activities, you can group start service for your families. You do need to filter, your enrolling agency, your site, if they're receiving services, if they're not, if they have active children, if they don't, at the the start services date, and then you can start services or you can archive. Okay, and then this is where you will update and assign classroom staff. Now, yesterday we talked about the importance of, having your staff members assigned as classroom staff, child development staff in COPA. So classification needs to be classroom development staff or child development staff. Oh, I can't get that correct. Otherwise, they're not going to show up on your list to be assigned. Please do not put in start dates and end dates. As you can see, it automatically populates. After rollover, this will be next year's start date and end date. So you don't need to put anything in this section. Okay, so let's go back to COPA. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is searching for children and family. So yesterday we talked a little bit about advanced search. So if you get an application, and you want to check and see if the family is in the system, you'll choose advanced search from the drop-down menu. There are also these tabs up here where you can navigate the family tab. So we're going to put in the last name. And the first name, Violet. And I am going to search primary caregiver. And I'm going to search the entire database. So again, we've got the last name, the first name, and the entire database. And it comes up that she is assigned to Little Block Preschool. And if that is not your agency, then you will have to contact COPA support with her name, her COPA ID, her date of birth, and the agency that she needs to be assigned to. You don't have to tell us the one that she's assigned to right now. You just need to tell us where she needs to go. So, again, that's the name, ID, birth date, and where she needs to be assigned to. Okay. So let's go back to the advanced search. Now, we have same name Crayon, and but the first name is red on the Crayon. And so we're going to search again by primary caregiver. So we're going to search the entire database. Well, nothing is coming up. So we're going to want to change that, since nothing comes up, to secondary caregiver. So you need to search for both the primary, the name for the primary caregiver, and the secondary caregiver. So red Crayon did not come up when we searched primary, so we're going to change this to secondary. We're going to search the entire database. And why did he not come up? Because I know he is there. Let's take red out, see what happens. Okay, so the name Violet Crayon comes up. I'm going to copy her ID. And I'm going to go to the Family Search tab. Now I'm going to put the ID in. Now, beware that when you copy and paste, that sometimes it'll come up and it'll look like this. If you try to search and you're like, I just copied and pasted, why is it not coming up? COPA sometimes puts some spaces before the number. So we need to make sure that we get rid of those spaces and we search, and there she is. It says that she's archived. So now, before we unarchive her, I want to search by the child. So again, I'm going to go to advanced search. And I'm going to put in the child's last name and first name. And I'm going to search the entire database. I'm not going to worry about his birth date, social security number, the family name. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to search by his name. And nothing came up.
Oh, you put it in backwards, Michelle.
Thank you.
I do the same thing when I'm searching because it's last name first.
That may have been what I did with red. I don't know. But anyway, so we're going to search the entire database. And there's Little Bear. Now, if you're not Little Block Practice Preschool North, then you would need to send a request to COPA support. Again, with the child's name, the ID, the birth date, and where he needs to go to. So you need him to go to Test Preschool Central. So let us know that is where the child needs to go to. Another tip for when you are searching, if the name is misspelled, like, let's just leave off an A. And I search the entire database, it's not going to come up. So it has to be the exact name that is in COPA. Sometimes it's helpful if you just put in a few of the letters and then search. Didn't do it this time, but sometimes that will work also. That is because, nope, I still got it right. Okay, so I don't know why that didn't come up in the live section that usually works for us.
Sometimes I think the test site, it has to be exact whenever we're working through them. But it's
Right.
helpful if you know that the child is already in an ABC program or you know that they're in COPA, it's helpful to use the search function. Even if you can just put like first initial, if you know the first initial and the last name, or you know the first name, but you're not sure if the last name's the same.
Right.
But once you start putting in their information, if you get that error, just reach out to COPA support and we can search for you.
Yes. Thank you, Kayla. Okay, so let's go back to Violet Crayon. Okay. So when we searched before, it showed that she was archived. And this is your agency. You do belong to Little Block Practice Preschool. You remember that Violet, she was there a couple of years ago with another child. And so you want to unarchive her. I am going to copy her ID. And again, you can unarchive a couple different ways. You can either go to the admin tab where I showed you there's unarchived there. There's also a place on the enrollment page. And you can search children and families from here. So I'm going to search here. Either put in the name or the ID. I do not recommend that you put in both. So we're going to paste. We're going to make sure there's no spaces in front. And we're going to search the archive families. And there she is. So I am going to unarchive her by unarchiving family. Please do not ever delete families. If you come across a duplicate, let us know, but do not delete families. Okay, so I have unarchived. So now I know that I have access to her. I know that she is in my list of families. I'm just going to use the search engine. And I'm going to search all. And there she is. Okay. And there's Red Crayon. I knew he was in here. I do not know why he did not pull up. So here we have our record. We're going to look and make sure that nothing has changed. Her address is still the same. The application says that there's still 2 parents. So if they find anything different, we do need to update it. And there's Harold Crayon, and he was there last year, but we need to add a new child. So we're going to click on New Child Application. And this is where I want to show you when you're adding a new application, scroll down to that custom eligibility points we talked about. And this is where you'll mark whether he has a waiver, low birth weight, a parent was under the age of 18, any of those other ABC eligibility qualifications. Another thing that I want to touch on is ethnicity and race. So this is an either or. Either they are Hispanic descent or they have a race. Please, please, please do not select both of these. The main reason why is because we are asked to run reports for NEAR, and they want to know how many children have Hispanic descent or how many have a race. Please, again, only mark one. Do not select all. Only one, because they want us to break down the categories. The same with race. There is an option for multiracial. And so if your child is multiracial, please select this. All right. So now I want to go into entering screenings on children. My absolutely favorite tab in COPA is the child group process. So this enables staff members to enter vision, hearing, and developmental screenings as groups. So if your school nurse or if you have the Lions Club come in or whoever does your vision and hearing screenings, if they do all the children in one day, you can fill out your agency, site, the classroom. We're going to filter. And so Bert and Mary, they both had the same results and the test was done on the same day. So when I say same results, that's pass or fail. So we're going to put here that it was performed by a nurse. You can also put if the co-op comes in, the collaborative agency, the exam date, next exam date, and those are always 2 years. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to correct that. Their treatment status, which was no problem suspected. And then the exam type. Always use screening. Never use assessments. Assessments will not come up on our reports. So always use screening. And then you can submit. So we've done Bert and Mary. Petit Prince, he was gone that day. So we need to do a new one for him. So he was, his exam date was on that date. It was performed by the nurse. His next exam date, which is 2 years. Verify that this is screening. His treatment status is no problem, and submit. That looks the exact same for the hearing. You just mark the children that it applies to, again, the same day, same pass or fail results, and fill out all the information and submit. Now you see there is the growth assessment here. It can only be done one child at a time. So if you want to do your growth assessments here, you do have that option, because all children, they're going to have a different height and weight. Developmental screenings. Developmental screenings takes a little bit more filling out that you have to do. So it says, please select the PIR program model in order to show developmental screenings. So we're going to do okay. The PIR program model is always locally designed model. All ABC children are locally designed model. So this is going to refresh. I'm going to click developmental screenings again, and it's going to refresh. It defaults to cognitive. We need to change that to developmental screening. Hit filter. Then we click all the children that were screened on the same day. So if you are, 5 children were screened out of your classroom today, 5 more, they were screened last week. Just click those that were screened on the same day. Again, same pass-fail results. So we're going to enter the screening date, the screening result. So you've got your failed, need rescreens, need referral, passed. Decision has IEP, okay, rescreen or refer. Let me just say right here, if you put has IEP, that is not a substitute for entering their IEP information. That just lets us know when we run reports that the child has an IEP, but it does not, it's not a substitute for entering that information. Okay. So the rescreen date is 1 year from the test date. So health screenings are 2, developmental screenings are 1. Now, if a child has an IEP, they do not need to be rescreened, developmental screening. The co-op or whoever's, if the co-op is providing services, they are constantly rescreening them. They're evaluating them. So you do not need to rescreen a child that has an IEP or an IFSP. If they are getting private services, you do need to perform a developmental screening on them. If they fail that developmental screening, they do have to be referred to the co-op. I think we touched on that yesterday. The co-op will present them their legal rights, and at that opportunity, the parent says, no, I want to stay with who is providing services now, or yes, I would like you to also provide services. Okay, so we need to put who it was performed by. It's staff, co-op. the instrument that was used. We do not need the score. And then again, if referral was needed, and submit. So I see we have a question.
Yes,
Jennifer?
Michelle, I was just coming back in and I think you answered the question, but I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So if we have returning students, did you say that we still must do a developmental screening on them regardless? If they're
No,
returning?
if you have a child that is returning and they have an active IEP, their IEP has not expired, then you do not have to rescreen them.
But
So
if
when-
they don't have an IEP, we do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We had one more question, Michelle, in talking about physicals and putting in these screenings. So, Ms. Turner had asked about physicals. If they're only required every 2 years, why will the health portal give an expiration date? And you're putting in those expiration dates when you're entering those screenings into the system. And the reason why there's an expiration date is so when Michelle gets to like some of the reports, it's going to give you that due date. And that is for your benefit. So you know this child needs an updated screening, whether it be developmental, hearing, vision, or physical. So you're entering that deadline of 2
Right.
years.
And, you know, if you service infant and toddlers, they may have come in with a well-child checkup that, you know, expired 3 years ago. And so they need a new one. And this helps remind you that, hey, you know, they need an updated screening.
Yeah. And then there was a couple of other questions. So this is a great question as well. About the score of the developmental screenings. You are welcome to put in the score depending on the type of screening that you use, if it has a specific score system. But you are only required to put in the screening result for ABC. So if it's a pass, a fail, if they have an IEP, you only need to put in that screening result. So this is a great place where we talked about COPA has lots of different functions that we don't require you to use. So the score is not a requirement. If you want to use it, you can. Otherwise, you'll just put in the screening result. And it is on that required fields document that we talked about in the beginning. It does tell you under each screening what you're required to enter. So, yes, great questions. You do not have to put in the actual score. And then I think someone asked about how often hearing and vision screenings are. So, Michelle, can you just go through one more time the requirements on the different types of screening?
Yes, so all health screenings, the physicals or well-child checkup, growth assessment, vision and hearing, those are good for 2 years. Developmental screenings are only good for 1 year, so they do have to be done yearly. All right, so let's see, we got to make sure that we've only marked the one child that this applies to. So this is only going to apply to Mary. So we need to enter the instrument performed by teacher. She doesn't need a referral because she already has an IEP, and we're going to submit. Now, you can use this opportunity since you know that Mary has an IEP and we need to enter the IEP information. You can either click or you can right click, open a new tab, and this will take you to Mary's data sheet. And from here, we can enter the disability under the disability tab. So we're going to put disability status. She has a certified IEP. We're going to put the date her IEP started. primary condition, broad category. So I believe these are categories that K through 12 use. Most of our children are going to be non-categorical. Can't say that word. But if it's speech and language, you can put that. But again, most of them are going to be non-categorical. Okay, and then we need to go over here to the qualified, and we need to put yes. So that will show up on the reports that we will run. It will pull that information. And then you would just update disability information. So again, the list of couple required fields, it'll tell you exactly what you need to enter when you're entering these. But since we've opened this in a new tab, I can go right back to the group process and I can continue what I'm doing. You can also enter referrals from the group process. Again, they do have to be done one at a time. So we would fill out the date of the referral, who requested it, the teacher, parent. It automatically populates who submitted it. We're going to leave the status at new as new. The referral reason. And this kind of gives us a little more options that we can kind of narrow things down. And then who did you refer it to? So you just find your co-op or your school district in here and submit. All right, so physicals. You notice that is missing from our group processing. They do have to be done individually. So you can either, again, work from your group processing, opening one child at a time. You go to your medical tab. And then you're going to scroll down. You have the option, if you want to do vision and hearing from here, you can. But almost all the way down is physical. Again, that is, they need every 2 years. So it has to be performed by a physician or a nurse practitioner. The exam date, next exam date in 2 years. All normal, yes. Treatment status, no problem suspected, problem suspected. It really, you know, we don't want to get detailed in this. We don't want to go through here and fill all these out. We don't need to know that. And then I want to say that is all. Physician, exam date, next exam date, treatment status. I actually don't think you have to put all normal here. I think you just need the treatment status. I don't know. It will let you know. Oh, you know what? I've got my couple required fields right here that I can look at. So performed by, exam date, next exam date, and treatment status. As you can imagine, I don't enter these often. So performed by, exam date, next exam date, which is 2 years, and the treatment status. We're going to add the record. You can set up reminders if you want. I am not. So when I scroll down, there it is. All right. Again, growth assessments, you can do them from the child group processing, one by one, or you can go to the child record, and it is under the growth and nutrition tab. And it's just the same information, date, performed by. We don't need the head circumference, we just need height and weight. And this is actually something that can be done by your staff. They can either get it from the well child checkups, or you can just, somebody can bring a scale to work and a measuring tape, and you can do it by there. The re-exam date is here at the bottom, the due date. And then so you just update. So that's all you need is the exam date, the due date, which is the next exam date, and height and weight. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is we've got all this information added. Did I miss anybody? So I'm going to go to the child tab, and you can either run a report for health screenings, or you can look at the health portal. So the health portal, since I have access to all of our test children, I'm going to filter this down to our little block central. Now I'm going to look at all classes. Now, we see we have a whole lot of tabs here that we don't need. So I'm going to go in to memorize settings, and I'm going to filter those out. So I just need hearing and vision. I don't need the lead, dental, or medical express. Don't need diabetes or general health or TB. So all I need is the hearing and vision, growth assessment, and the physical. So when you save that, you just get the information that you need. Now, this is showing the next due date. I don't want to see the next due date. I want to see their last exam date. And there we go. I can see who I've entered. I can look here, and Mary's, her hearing was done in 2022. So I know she needs a new one. Her physical was 2021, so she needs a new physical. This is currently in the list view. There is also a grid view where you can look at it like this. There's a little default box here. Mine is already defaulted to list view. So I click default when I'm on the list view. Okay, so that's an easy glance where you can tell what has been entered. Again, you have to make sure that screening is entered, because if you leave it or if you change it to assessment, it's not going to show up. Okay, so let's look at some other reports that we use and that will be helpful to you. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So we have over here, we have my favorites. If you click on the pencil, it takes you to all of the reports. And I'm going to move this over here. So these are the reports that we use when monitoring. 201 monthly attendance report, 203, or you can use 204. They basically give you the same information. 203 gives you a little bit more of the transition, but they all give the name, the ID number, date of birth, the PIR age is the day, the age in which the child was enrolled, the child's current age. The detailed enrollment report gives parent information. So you can take a look at both of these reports. Neither one of these need to be filtered, so you can use either or. We have the staff information report, and there is a filter to this. The health screening status report, which also has a filter. The developmental screening report, which we need to filter. the overall referral tracking report. And I left off the disability report. Let me look here. Oh, here we go. I believe it's 411. Hold on. Let me go to the live site and just make sure. Yes, it's 411. So we have 203, or you can, excuse me, 201, 203, or 204. Either one works. 601, 402, 456, 459, and 411. So I'm not sure if those are going to stay up when I start clicking. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to find the reports. So we've got 201. We've got 204, or you can also select 203. I'm going to leave it 204. Let me move this list so I can see it, so I can make sure I'm getting all of them. 601, 402, 456, 459, and 411. Now you can save other reports that you like to use. These are just the ones that we use when we are monitoring. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to save, change portal settings. So here are all my reports. So I don't have to worry about going over here to the reports, trying to find them, trying to remember which ones I need to use. They're all going to be here in your favorites. Now, like I said, some of these reports, they do need to be filtered. So let's click on the health screening status report. Now, as you can see, it has a lot of things here that we don't need. We don't need anemia, general health. It has hearing assessment and hearing vision, lead visual assessment, and vision screening. Notice that the physical is not on here. I'm going to go to the live site real fast. Well, actually, I can't do that because it's going to show kids. Anyway, on the live site, there is going to be a monitoring health screening filter. It may be labeled something a little different, but it's going to be created by Michelle Davis. And this is the one that you need to use. So if you click on the default setting, and it says, okay, this is going to be your memorized default. I'm going to okay that. And then I need to filter by my agency and my class. And I don't know why it is not. Maybe I have to do that first. There we go. So once I click on that report, then it's going to filter. So the next time you go to it, it should automatically populate. I think that's just for the first time. So let's go back up to here. Screening status report. And there we go. Now it automatically has the information that we need. We need to filter it by our agency. You always have to filter it by your agency and class. I don't know what's happening, people. I bet I did not. Ah, the dates need to be changed up here. That's fine. I apologize for not having this done. 5, 6.
And I think I think it looks like it does default out to the current date on your regular live site, but because we're
Okay.
showing you the training site, just for privacy reasons, that's why it's not defaulting to today's date, Michelle.
Okay, okay. So that is, now we have Bert. Now that I've changed those dates, his information is coming up. It should show you also the children. Oh, so that's the problem. Yeah, our live site will show you all of the children. Whether they have, change this. And I do apologize. I thought all of this had already been updated. So here we go. I filtered it so it shows all children. The memorized report on the live site, it already has all of this done. So once you click on the default and you click on monitoring filter, then it'll go ahead and it will filter it for the information that's needed. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. So let's go back up to my dashboard.
And I was just telling Lisa, as Michelle's going back to that, we will send out, when we send our email, our follow-up email with the resources that we're talking about and the
Mhm.
links, we will send everyone a list of these reports so you can go in and mark them as favorites and use them throughout the year. So you'll
Yes.
get that list.
And on that, I will add the name of the memorized report setting on each of these. Just making a note for myself. Okay. Again, for developmental screening, it also needs to be filtered. These dates have been updated. And so there's one for hippie and for center-based. So I'm going to filter it by that, and then I'm going to go up to memorize settings again, and I'm going to mark that as my default. Okay. And so now we have the child's name, the disability status comes up, and that's because we've entered that in the disability tab. The last enrollment date, and then we can see here that Mary, she failed, she referred, the date, the failed developmental screening, and then all of these children, they still need theirs entered, or they're past their screen date that was put on there. So those are going to show up in red. Okay. I'm going to close some tabs here. So we go back to our dashboard. That so I don't get confused. Disability status report. This also has a memorize setting. Just look for my name because I know it's labeled different on the live site. Just look for created by and my name, and it'll give us the information that we need. Referral does not need to be filtered. The staff information does need to be filtered. It gives us a lot of extra information here that we do not need. again. So apparently the test site does not want to filter, but the information that we need the agency, education, hire date, major, don't need employment type, we need position. Again, this will be all listed. Okay, so this is the information that we're looking for. We're looking for the name, their COPA ID, the agency, the site, the class they're assigned to, what position, and again, this is where it's important that you label your staff correctly, so we know when we're looking at the documents that we know this is a paraprofessional. These are the documents we need to look for. We need their education and their major and their initial hire date. And so again, here we have that classification, child development staff. If they're just an admin staff, you can put that. There's also a support staff. Please do not label paraprofessionals as support staff. They are child development staff. Your support staff would be someone who is not in the classroom. Okay. And I think we covered everything here. I do want to mention again, well, you do have to enter referrals, and you can either do that through the child group processing or from the child development sheet or referrals right here. Okay. Do we have any questions, Kayla, that we need to stop and answer?
No, I think that most of the questions I've answered in the chat. I know we had a couple of questions about how often each different assessment is needed. So I did answer those, but it also is in that required ABC Fields document on our website. So we refer back to that a lot. It is very helpful. And we've got the link in the comments. It's on our website that Michelle was showing you earlier as well. And that will tell you how often they're needed as well. So that's a really good quick reference. But yes, growth assessments are every 2 years, child and vision are every 2 years, physicals every 2 years, and then your child development screening, that's every year. So if you need a referral, a quick reference, that sheet, that document is a great place to refer back to. But I don't see any open questions right now.
All right, so we're going to move on to enrollment. Again, your enrollment page, if you want to click on that, it has all of your tabs where you can move. The eligibility application, this is where you enter the family application. Once you fill this out, it moves to the income information. And even if you are qualifying a child by, say, a developmental screening or low birth weight, please put that information, the income information in COPA. And then after you enter the income information, then it will take you to the child application. Okay, so let's go to the waiting list. So a common issue that you will come up against is a child's box will not be enabled. You cannot click it, won't let you do anything. If you look over here in the disability status, you see that child has an IEP. If you click on the IEP, and then you choose the approval status, So we're going to approve with suspect, approve with IEP, or IFSP. You're going to submit. We go ahead and do that. And now that box is enabled. So you can now move Clio to the eligible list. So let's say that school has already started and we're busy, we're enrolling kids. We've got to move Clio from the waiting list to the eligibility list. Please remember to backdate. School started on June 1st. So I need to put June 1st or before. Okay, so I'm going to move her to the acceptable eligible list. Yes, I do want to proceed. So now I'm going to go to the eligible accepted list. Okay, as you see here, we've got our children that we want to enroll. We're going to put in our agency, our site, and our class. If you look over into the family enrollment status, it's not going to let me move them. Let's try. So we're going to click enroll. And see, they're still on the list. So we have to make sure that the family is receiving services before it lets you enroll them. So you can click on discontinue service there. It's got the agency and the site. We're going to start services on June 1st. We're going to say yes. Oh, I must have messed with this one already. Let's try this again. Let's go to Louis. There we go. Little block practice preschool. We're just going to leave it for training purposes for today. Okay. So it takes you to the family data status sheet. You do not need anything else from this sheet. So you can just X out of it. And I am going to refresh. And now we have Louis is receiving services. So I'm going to select my agency. I'm going to select my site. I'm going to select my class. I'm going to put his enrollment date, and I'm going to remember to backdate to the first day of school. Okay. Now I'm going to enroll. And he is now off our list, and he is on our enrollment report. And there he is. So just remember, if a child has an IEP on the waiting list, you have to approve that before you can move that child. Once you go to the eligible accepted list, make sure that the family enrollment status is received services. Otherwise, you filled out your agency information and all this, and you try to enroll them, and it's going to filter all of this out, and you're not able to enroll them until you start services. Now, we did mention, oh, Kayla, is there a question?
Well, I was just going to say we had a question about starting services on a family. And the question was about being able to group process on the families rather than having to click on each one individually. And so Holly, there is a way that you can group process to those families for receiving services. This isn't going to be something you would typically do throughout the year, because you're going to maybe have one or two here and there.
Mhm.
But after rollover, and you'll get these instructions in email when that happens. But when you go to your admin tab, as you see on Michelle's screen, there is a start services for all returning families in the post rollover activity. And that's where you can group process these.
We've got the enrolling site. And not receiving services. So these are families not receiving services. And we want to choose families with active children. And active children means they have children that are not archived. So if the children are archived, then it's going to show up as no active children. So we filtered that down. And again, I'm going to leave this date as today. I'm going to click on them and I'm going to start services for all those children. Excuse me, for all those families. So again, your enrolling agency, your enrolling site, you want to have this as not receiving services. You want to look at your families with active children. And then you want to put your start date and then start services, remembering to click the boxes. Hope it works right. Okay, it did for everybody but Violet. I don't know what's going on with Violet. But again, this is the test site, so we do have problems with it occasionally. So it's very important that you remember when moving children from the eligibility waiting list and the eligible accepted list to enrollment to backdate those children. If you don't backdate them, you have to contact us and we have to do a lot of work and get those children back where they should be.
We had a question about backdating, Michelle. So, do we backdate the start of the school year if the student does not start until October?
So what it depends on is when you're entering the information. So if the child starts in October, that is going to be their start date. That is when that you need to have that they've started. But if you are entering the information and it's October 5th and the child started on the 1st, then you need to backdate before like October 1st and then enroll the child using that October 1st start date.
Yeah,
So
and the
you-
reason why is because in COPA, if you enter, let's say the child actually started on the 1st, but you're trying to enroll that child, you'll have to date it essentially one day sooner so that when you enroll, the actual enrollment date is accurate. But you would only backdate if you're entering the information after they actually started, which more than likely you are. The beginning of the year, you may have pretty much all the same dates for your start date for your children, but mid-year, if you're entering that data, you're probably not going to be entering it the exact same day that the child starts your program and is enrolled.
Okay, so I've got a couple more topics to touch on, and then I believe we'll be finished for the day. So let's talk about eDocs. When you are entering a document into COPA, it works the same whether you are entering the family, staff, agency, site, whatever, it is the same process. So we're going to click on Little Bear. And we're going to choose a file. And we're just going to click on that file and we're going to open. Then we need to select the category. We're going to pretend this is his birth certificate. You do not need to select the document type. Oh, excuse me, I have that backwards. I am sorry. Please excuse me, I am so sorry. You need the document type. So whether this is behavior, birth certificate, his application, please select the document type. You do not have to select anything in the document category. So we're going to pretend that this is his birth record. And we're going to upload. So it says document has successfully uploaded, and there it is. The approval or pending status, that does not mean that we've looked at the document and we've approved that document and everything is fine in the document. This just means that the document has been approved to upload and everybody can access the document. If it says pending, it'll be grayed out. And we have to go in and we have to approve it. And there are just a few documents that upload as pending. Most of them are like the financial documents. So most will default to approved, but that again is only that the document has been approved for upload. One thing that can affect uploading documents is if you use any special characters, COPA will not upload it. So we recommend that you just type in words and leave it at that. No slashes, no, just words. Otherwise, you may have problems uploading. If a file has the same name, you may have problems uploading. But again, this works for all categories. I want to touch one more thing on this, and this document directory. Oh, actually two things. Please do not use file share. File share, it affects our ability to change your access, COPA access. So if we need to change something, you've moved positions, you were a teacher, but now you're a coordinator or whatever. If you have a document in file share, it can disrupt our ability to change your access. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends on what we're changing. So please don't use file share. So document directory, and this will give you your list of the same tabs up here. We're just going to go child, all categories. One thing that I want to bring to your attention is that COPA defaults to year, the current, just the past year. It will only show from today's date to last year's the same date. So you may have uploaded a credential for someone, a staff member that's been there since, 2016, and you're on the document directory and it's not showing up. Well, that's because the date, you would have to change the date in order for that to show up. So Kayla, was there anything about attendance that we need to address?
I don't believe so. I know you touched on entering attendance. We did have one question about entering the breakfast, lunch, and snack options separately. ABC does not require that you enter the breakfast, lunch, and snack data. You can just use the select all button to select all three of the options to show that that child was in attendance. So that was the only question that we saw. The only thing is just make sure that you're doing your attendance. We recommend doing it weekly as that's the easiest view in COPA. For summer programs, you are required to enter that weekly. And for ABC programs, you need to make sure during the regular school year that you are entering your attendance as quickly as you can so that when it gets to the billing deadline, which is the 5th, you've already got all of that completed and you're not having to go back and do an entire month of attendance at once. So the weekly view is the best option that she went through earlier. If you have any questions about entering attendance or you get to doing attendance and a child is grayed out for any reason, reach out to COPA support. We're here to help. But definitely making sure that you're doing that before billing so that all of your children show up. You will not be able to bill for a child unless they have their attendance entered for at least one day of the month. If they did not attend, you will not be paid for that child. I did see a question about eDocs, Michelle. Can you delete uploaded files if you upload the wrong file?
You can. So this is where you go into the document directory. And so let's just select a child. If you see over here in the status, there's a delete column. And this is where you can delete. Just remember to click on the box, click delete. It'll ask you if you're sure you want to. Yes, and it has been deleted. I was going to show you guys billing, but I don't know what happened. Oh, there it is, test billing. Billing is probably the easiest thing that you are going to do in COPA. You will go to your site billing and you will click on ABC MER. I don't know why it's MER. That is just what it is. So you're going to choose your site, your agency and your site. And you're going to have to backdate this because it defaults to the current date. So you're going to have to select May. Leave the year. You can filter by program models. I would advise you to leave it as all program models because you can only bill for ABC students. Depending on if you're center-based or HIPPY, you'll need to either change this to home visiting or leave it at center-based. And then you're going to run the report. Okay, so no children, no attendance has been entered on these children. So they all have red asterisks. But if they had boxes, you're going to click on the boxes. Verify, the child's name, their attendance. Leave the submission date and submit billing. Please do not ever save billing because if you need to, do I have that backwards, Kayla? Please don't tell me I have that backwards.
No, that's correct.
Okay, because if you save billing, and you've messed up, I don't believe we can go in and correct it. Or if we can, it is not an easy process.
Yeah, it's backwards from what you would think. So if you submit your billing, we can go in and unsubmit that for you, and then you can redo it.
So don't ever save billing. I believe it always shows up when you look at your submitted billing. Let me see if we have any in here. Okay, so it's always going to show the status of pending. It's never going to show approved. It's always going to be pending, and we want to leave it at pending. When you save it, it approves, and that's why we can't change it. But you can open it up and you can look at all of the children that were billed and their attendance, all of that. And that's all there is to billing. It's just, one step basically is click on the ABC MER, filter it by your agency and your site. Remember to always backdate the month to the previous month. Leave it all program models. Make sure it's center-based or HIPPY and run the report. I can select an agency, but then you check the boxes and you submit billing. And that's all there is to billing.
And we did talk about attendance. And so for home visiting programs, since you're not doing attendance on your children, it correlates to a visit. So that visit is what is giving the option to bill for that child. So just remember when you're going in, you're doing your visits, your attendance, that is what is filtering over into billing. So be sure that you don't miss those important steps. Jamie, would you say it's best to submit on the 5th or before? So I would highly recommend to submit prior to the 5th. If for any reason you get started and you realize there's a child missing, or the attendance wasn't put in, or there's any type of error, that gives plenty of time for you to reach out to us and let us assist you, and that way you're not missing the deadline. So as long as you're putting in your attendance each week and you're all caught up on your attendance, and let's say it's the, 2nd of the month, and you go in to do billing and you realize that some child is missing, or maybe there's attendance errors, anything that could happen, then you can have time to reach out to us and get it corrected. That way you're not missing the deadline.
Yeah, and we would like you to have a backup, someone that can submit billing for you, because say you wait till the 5th and on the 5th you break your leg, you're in the hospital and it's due and you're the only one that can submit it. But you're unable to, you're not with your computer. So, have a backup, somebody who can submit billing for you.
We have a question about EIDT children. So if you are entering EIDT children into COPA and they're listed as non-ABC children, you can filter that out where it says all program models. You could look at only ABC children. We do recommend that you leave all program models and then you can just not select those children. But I just want to be clear that if it is not an ABC child, you're not required to put them into COPA.
Unless they're in the classroom.
Yes. Yes. If they're in the same shared classroom, you would want to enter them into the system. But if they're not an ABC child, it's not an ABC classroom, you don't have to. So they're still going to show up on your report. However, yes, you can filter by ABC program model. We recommend that you leave it as all program models so you don't accidentally miss one. And then you can just unselect the children that are EIDT and make sure that the rest are ABC. Sometimes what can happen is, let's say you enroll a child from another agency. They come to your program, you enroll them, and maybe during enrollment, you don't change the program model or update it, or for some reason you click non-ABC for any reason, but they are an ABC child. And you see them on your list and you look at it and realize it's saying non-ABC, you can go ahead and get help with changing that before billing is due. So that's the reason we say look at all of them. We don't want you to miss being able to bill for a child.
All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about real quick, because I know it's lunchtime, is HR. So if you're a coordinator, you're going to have 3 logins. You're going to have your admin, billing, and HR. Depending on your HR access, you may have all of these tabs. You may just have a few of them. You are able to upload staff documents from here. But I want to address this HR tab. So staff directory is if you want to look at one person, a specific person, or you can do staff navigation if you have a big agency and you want to go to a particular site, then you can pull it up by site. So say that Polly no longer works with us. We do not delete her record. We do not want to delete that. We want to keep that record because she may be going over to practice preschool. And, they're going to let us know, hey, she was with so-and-so. Her access is, we need to give her access to us, and we need access to her record. So COPA support, if you get a person that's coming from another program, contact COPA support, and we can give you access to the record so you can change the information. But if you have a staff leave, you can make them inactive. I wish it had inactive out here instead of down here. So this button is active, this is inactive. And I will scroll down. I'm going to update. There we go. And so now she's gone from your list. And that's really the only thing I wanted to touch on. HR is how to make a staff member inactive. And then again, if someone comes to your program from a different site or a different agency, let us know and we can give you access to that person. All right, Kayla, I am done. Let me stop sharing.
We did have a question about COPA getting staff information. So no, COPA does not pull information from any other systems. So I know you said that you were asking because you were not able to change how many years of experience staff members have. And you said on DHS and on COPA as well. You may be talking about the ELS, the licensing portal. I believe your licensing specialist would have to change that information. You may have access to edit that. As far as COPA, if you're needing to change the years of experience, it's auto-populated, I believe, from the dates that you put in when you're in that HR setting.
Yeah, let me share this again. So for Tilly, we've put in her employment information and her credentials. Well, we didn't put in her credentials, so let's do that. She's got a doctorate degree in early childhood.
Share your
She
screen, Michelle.
What?
Share your screen so we can
Oh,
see
I thought
it.
it was shared already. Oh, sorry. I tried to share.
It might just take a second.
Okay, so screen 3 and share. All right, so there we go. So we've entered her doctorate degree, her major. She's not enrolled in anything. She doesn't have another major because she's not enrolled towards her next degree. She is not in college. And here we have years of experience. So she has worked with children for 20 years. She's only worked with pre-K students for, let's say, 15 years. And she doesn't have any experience with infants and toddlers. So that's where you can enter the years of experience. Down here in certificates, this is where you can enter the license, or if they have a CDA, then you can also enter it there. And then we update. And so now we have her information. We do have this section down here that's optional. If a staff is on a staff qualification plan, that is helpful. But it is not required. And there you can put that they're getting their certificate of proficiency, the start dates, the end dates, and submit. So then we have down here the information about their staff qualification plan. Once that is completed, we would appreciate it if you go in and then, delete all that information. But like I said, that's optional right now. These are the mandatory fields. Education level, major, enrolled in next degree, major, currently in college, and then the years in education, years experience with preschool, years experience with infant and toddler.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. I think I answered most of the ones in the chat. Amy said, can you go to, well, let me find it. Can you go to the employment info and show where you're putting in the employment date to where it changes the years of service? She said that when she enters it, it does not change the years of service.
So with the employment, you cannot enter the years in the position. It auto-populates every year. So every year it'll go ahead and it'll increase by 1. And then here, like I said, the classification, the child development staff, the position. If it's a paraprofessional, please put paraprofessional. We have lead teacher and we also have classroom teacher. The salary and funding source needs to equal up to 100%. And then for their, where's their ID? Oh, their employment information, the ID. Or is that personal? Where did that go? Oh, employment ID, please enter their PDR number. Kayla, are there any more questions?
I don't think so. But if you get to entering staff or the human resources portion of COPA and you have questions, please send us an email. We have the COPA support mailbox, and all of our team reviews that mailbox. So it's not going to any mystical land. It is going to our entire ABC staff. And what we do is everyone works out of that box. So you can send it there if you have general questions. If you don't know who to ask, send it to COPA support and our team will grab those and work them. So just reach out to us if you have any questions about staff input, if you're seeing any issues with the years of experience or anything not calculating correctly, reach out and we can take a look at it for you. I don't see any other questions. So I believe that is it for today. We thank you all again. We're ending a little bit early, but it's kind of right on time for lunch, so that works out. We thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you spending your time with us. We hope that we answered questions and that this is helpful, especially for those of you that are new coordinators. We will email out links that we've shared, our Q&A document answering some of those chat questions that we got frequently. We'll send you out copies of the favorite reports and the required fields document. And so we'll be sending those out to everyone. And again, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, email us, call us anytime. Yeah, hope you have a great weekend too, Nicole. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. And the recording and the slides will also be on our website probably next week when they'll get posted. So keep an eye out for that. But if you just want a copy of the slides in the meantime, we're going to try to send everything out by email to all of our participants. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and thank you for everything that you do for children in Arkansas.